Welcome back to another exciting talk here. We're going to be talking about most Oracle tokens are useless despite providing critical infrastructure and blockchain infrastructure, and why. And now I'll be giving you to Ugur, and he will take over.
Perfect. Thanks for the intro. It's a small room, or like a compact room. I like to have this interactive. So if you have a question, just immediately shoot. I'm happy to answer it right on the spot, because sometimes you forget it towards the end. So I might break some hearts today. I'm already sorry for that. But I'm essentially going to be talking about what was already introduced, why most Oracle tokens are useless, despite providing one of the most critical pieces of infrastructure in the space. And before I start, which oracles do people here know? If you want to just shout a name, I'm fine. I guess we have to... Pyth, Chronicle, what else? Anything else? Yeah. Great. That's a lot. What would you say defines the success of such a project? Okay, interesting. Any other guesses? What defines the success for an Oracle project? VC money. Good guess, good guess. Typically what people do is they look at how other, like, let's say dApps, DeFi lending dApps or something like that measure themselves. And what you typically see is graphs like this that show how much value is secured by them, like how much people trust them by putting their money into it. And in a similar fashion, one core metric that has established itself is something called TVS. So how much do these oracles secure with the data they provide? And if you look at the space, for the sake of not flooding my own bags and potentially other bags, I've taken all names away. So you're going to be seeing charts without any association to the projects. If you look at the TVS charts just from this year, they're pretty much going in a certain direction. So you see at the beginning of the year, and it went up a lot for this project. Again, increase, movement up. Here again, insane movement up. So the natural thing you would expect now is it appears like people trust these oracles. The value that they secure goes up. That means either the projects that they secure are super successful and they grow in TVL, or it's a mass of customers coming in and driving the TVS up. Now, from that, you would kind of think that these projects are super successful and that should somehow translate to positive movement on the market, right? And that is essentially a question that I wanted to ask here. So if TVS, which is like the number one core metric that everybody measures Oracle success at currently, is the success metric, and the charts that I've previously shown you are up only. So why do price charts look like this? Or like this? Or like this? And this is essentially in the same time frame. And what people typically like to tell me, well, this is kind of bad because the whole market is down. These are price charts against BTC or ETH. So like in accordance to the market, these tokens are basically underperforming heavily, especially if you take into consideration that their usage is going up drastically. So any guesses why that is? And again, shout your answer if you have one.
Token unlocks.
Token unlocks, that's a good one, yeah. But token unlocks, you also have other projects that have these, but they still go up, if that makes sense. Any other guesses?
The token has no actual intrinsic value within the protocol itself.
Yes, and that is a good one. And essentially, you would expect that this token is somehow used in paying for the service, right? But one of the core problems in the Oracle space, and I can go into why that is that providing data generates no money. Absolutely zero money. I know that a lot of people think you're an Oracle, you provide a service, which is data, and then you get money for it. Well, you don't. From the very early days, oracles have been something that has been subsidized heavily by projects like Chainlink to get a lot of users. And you have now a lot of dApps that have gotten used to this state that they never pay for this service. So when you're a new Oracle project coming into the space, what you generally do is you provide the service for free in order to gain adoption, because you cannot charge for something that the industry leader is giving away for free. What people typically tell me is, well, this is untrue. I've seen Chainlink forum posts where the chains are paying a certain amount. And that is essentially a myth that I want to bust here. Yes, you have chains sometimes paying the fees to get oracles onto your network. However, those fees are basically to cover the gas costs and sometimes to cover the node operators. In no way, shape, or form does that money even in the smallest bit justify the multi-million-dollar valuations of these projects, because the money doesn't flow to the token in any way. It is there to operate on-chain. So they make no money, price goes down. So what is the playbook here? And there are essentially 3 steps to currently run a successful Oracle project. Step number 1 is you climb the DeFi Llama ladder. DeFi Llama has a beautiful TVS chart that shows you how much is each Oracle securing. And typically what happens nowadays is you have these Oracle projects competing for customers that are not paying, and they're offering them bribes in the form of their own token to get them over. And this, like the amounts that are being paid nowadays are literally getting ridiculous just to get like a big customer over, because you want to climb that ladder. You want to show people how much you're securing. After you've accomplished that, you market heavily how much you're securing, and while you do that, you pray for green candles. Like, you pray very heavily for green candles, because there is no mechanism to actually get more money in. You're basically hoping that this metric makes people think you're used and your token is actually meaningful. And then you do what, and Oracle projects are not the only ones essentially guilty of this. It's kind of all around the space, but what you do next is you sell your token. You need to somehow pay all of your employees, you need to justify all of the expenses, so you have something that has no intrinsic value. People think it has value, but you just dump it relentlessly on the people. And again, this is not magic. I can show you price graphs from several years ago. There's a current trend that shows, and unfortunately, this is essentially the current meta in the Oracle space. Just to summarize again, climb the ladder, bribe people if you need to, market heavily how much you're securing, sell, 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 sell. And essentially, this is a race to zero. And people would think, well, this is not an issue, because at the end of the day, somebody is going to come out a winner, right? Like, all of the projects are going to go bust, and the last one standing is winning, right? Yeah, you would think that, but the problem is you're not only competing against current Oracle projects, you're competing against anyone in the future that is going to raise money and create another useless token to sell and compete with you. So you cannot actually win this game, because everybody is just going to zero. So you need to do something else than provide data. It's pretty obvious. Like, providing data generates zero money. Sorry, need water. And there are multiple ways to do this. I'm not going to say there's the only way that API 3 has decided on. The space is intelligent enough to come up with numerous other ways. We personally have decided to concentrate on something called Oracle Extractable Value. And it's a subset of MEV that is related to Oracle transactions. And I'll try to summarize that in a very non-technical way, but I have to be a bit technical. If you have questions, again, for the newcomers, just scream them in. I take them immediately, not at the end, or also at the end. So essentially, Oracle Extractable Value describes the value that can be extracted after an Oracle updates, or if an Oracle doesn't update when it should have. And generally, when it comes to oracles, Oracle updates are very important, but not each update has the same intrinsic value. Sometimes an update allows for a lot more opportunity than others. And I'm going to show this on lending protocols. So every one of you probably has used Aave or Compound or numerous of their forks in one way or another. You deposit some collateral, you can borrow a certain amount after that, and what defines what your collateral is worth is typically an oracle. So it tells you, you put an ETH in, I think we're at 2,400 right now, and then you're able to take, let's say, a $1,200 loan in USDC. After you take out a loan, you're typically presented with a health factor. As long as that health factor is above 1, you're all good, your loan is fine. The moment your collateral drops, and your health factor goes below 1, you're going to face something called a liquidation. Typically, lending protocols don't liquidate themselves. What they do is they offer a certain percentage of your collateral as incentive for others to come in and essentially liquidate you. And that can range, I have written down here, 5 to 10%. I've actually dove a bit deeper and saw some insane numbers like 25%. So when you get liquidated, somebody gets a 25% discount on your collateral to liquidate you. And how this typically goes is that this entire flow is started by, first of all, the Oracle updates. After the Oracle is updated, your health factor might drop below 1. What then happens is that anybody can come in, and typically a lot of more sophisticated players, searchers, MEV searchers in the space, see that you're now liquidable. And right now here, I'm going to focus on ETH mainnet. What happens on mainnet then is you have these people compete in block space auctions for your liquidations. So essentially, they're bribing block builders in order to have their transaction included first. And at the end of the day, you get liquidated, the searcher gets the money, minus whatever he pays to the validators in the auction. Now, the interesting part in this entire scenario is how much are searchers earning when they do this? And there's a pretty nice report from a company called Monoceros. The book is called the MEV book. And they have a line in there that focuses on liquidations, which says, liquidations are highly competitive as the strategy is simple to perform. This means that it is common to see liquidations paying up to 99.9% of their revenue to the validator. A lot of talk. Let's see what that means. Here on the right side, you see the biggest liquidation on Aave this year for $10.4 million, roughly a month ago. Actually, exactly a month ago. The reward for this liquidation was $802,200. The profit that the searcher took home is $87 because he bribed $802,130. So just to illustrate that this number is not a made-up number, these people are giving up 99.9% of what they're being offered. Coming back to the sentence that I had before, Oracle updates are important, but that not each update is equal in value. The problem with oracles nowadays is that they don't look at what their updates enable. They just update blindly. They don't care what happens on chain afterwards, even if that update would enable such a liquidation, like I've shown before. So the current status quo, just to summarize, is kind of insane that on a $10 million liquidation, you give 800K in incentives. It is especially insane if you see that the people liquidating give 99% of that away. And it is even more insane when you look at the fact that oracles technically hold all the power to not allow this. So what we thought about is, why don't we take the auctions that happen on the block space level and conduct the auctions at the oracle level? So instead of blindly updating, we take the competition that happens and make people fight for the data that even allows for the liquidation. And that is in effect what we built. We have a solution which is called the OEV network. It is a layer 2 solution that essentially sells oracle data to the highest bidder. It operates on our data feeds. So imagine the bottom side here, you have a bunch of providers like CoinGecko and others, and they maintain the data feed on a chain like Mantle, ETHUSD on Mantle. Now the important thing here is that this data is slightly delayed. Imagine it like a regular highway. You're slow, you get to your destination, but a bit slower than usual. Now the same Oracle nodes sell real-time data on the OEV network. This is what you have to imagine as your express highway. So you pay to get faster to your destination. And now searchers can effectively get there quicker if they pay for it. And whatever they make here, we give to the dApp and take a small cut. So now, effectively, the searcher doesn't necessarily have to wait for these Oracle nodes to perform the update. They can take the data and have a 30-second advantage. And since they are the only ones effectively winning, they can decide when the liquidation happens. And this is now quite neat because we can essentially take the competition that happens after an Oracle update and take it for the Oracle update. And at the end, this kind of just means that instead of this insane amount going to block builders, it goes to the Oracle auction host, which is us. And I'll get to the split that we do after. How big is the opportunity when you look at the issue? Over the past, I think the data I have is from the 4 years or so, Aave, Compound, and Venus together have lost roughly 300 million to OEV. It is kind of harsh to say lost because technically it is not Aave paying this out, it is how much users are being overcharged for using the platform. And essentially our business model here is simple. We run auctions for Oracle transactions. We return 80% of whatever we make back to the dApp, and we take a 20% cut. So now we will provide a service. For every $4 that we give to the dApp, we make $1. They are happy, they earn money. We are happy because we earn money, actual money, not token dumps. And that's kind of the summary. I also wanted to illustrate the numbers for just this year because talking about the last 4 years is kind of abstract. So if you look at just 2024, from January until basically when I finished the presentation 2 days ago, Venus has paid out 6 million to liquidators, Aave 57 million, Compound 13 million. Even smaller dApps like Banky, which is like the biggest lending protocol on AVAX, has paid out over 1.4 million. Moonwell on Base, I believe, roughly closing in on 1 million. And this is money that these dApps can now have additionally. And I unfortunately forgot to put this on the slide. There was this nice nuke that we had roughly a month ago in the market where things went from 65K down to 55. And there was a post that Stani made that Aave made $6 million in 2 days because of the liquidations that happened. What nobody mentioned is that in the same 2 days, they paid 23 million in liquidation incentives. So essentially, we have lending protocols celebrating that they're making 6 million in profit while handing out 4 times as much in incentives to liquidators. And OEV is a chance for them to recapture significantly more money. Like, it is much more bullish for your token to say you recaptured 29 million in profits than to say, well, we incentivized people for 23 million and actually only made 6 million. And I think that's about it. So I'm Ugur, again, strategy lead at API3. We build oracles, but profitable.
Woo! That was a really, really interesting talk. We have lots of time for questions. Does anyone have any questions? Yes.
So if I understood correctly, the price update is predictable in the same way as in Chainlink. So if there's a change by 1% or after some period of time, yes?
Yeah, we operate price feeds on the respective chain in the deviation or heartbeat basis. So essentially, this is configurable. We have a market that you can choose. You can have it at 1% or 0.25%, whatever you need. The only important factor here is that this is slightly delayed.
Right. Then if I don't pay you, I could probably still predict when you are going to post a new price.
Yeah, you can do that with almost any push oracle like Chainlink as well. Correct. But the thing is, you can get away with that, yes, but only if the update that might happen doesn't have any value. So let's say you see that in 30 seconds we're going to update because this is delayed, and you know in 30 seconds our update is coming because the 1% change has been done. And that update will cause a liquidation that has 100K in rewards. You can wait and hope that nobody else essentially takes the highway because they're going to have an advantage over you for 30 seconds. So currently what you described is how any Oracle works. Chainlink updates, or people wait, for instance, on Chainlink, and then after that they compete. And you can do the same thing here. You can like wait and hope that nobody takes the shortcut and front runs you. And all they have to do is pay for it, and how much they pay depends on the competition here. So if you're the only person integrated here, you can bid $1 and have a 30-second advantage over everyone. Does that make sense?
Yeah, Yeah, I'm just wondering whether it's still not more profitable to just spam transactions. In the first instruction, check the price, and so pay for many short transactions until I hit. Whether that will be more profitable than bidding in your auction for the exact timing.
You won't get the liquidation because the person before you, like if you wait here and I take the shortcut, I can bundle the liquidation with my Oracle update and you will get nothing because I decide when the Oracle updates.
Sorry, so you operate only on mainnet?
No, everywhere. On every chain. I mean, almost every EVM chain, yeah.
Yes, so the chains where you don't bundle, where there are no bundles, there's no flash bots or anything like that, that still work?
Yeah, it would still work. It's centralized sequencers. So one thing that I might have forgotten to answer here is, or say here, is that each dApp reads a specific, through a specific proxy, and we run auctions for each specific proxy. So Aave and Compound are reading different data feeds. They, at the bottom, follow the same base data feed that is delayed. But if you win over here, you win the right to update Aave. You don't win the right to update Compound. And then you essentially, the auctioneer takes whatever you won and signs it, so only your address on that specific chain, on that specific proxy, is able to update. So you can't just take that message. I think what you mean is, why can't I just take that message once somebody has won and relay it to other chains? Well, because like it's kind of bundled to the chain-specific proxy to your specific address, so you can't reuse the data. And you can also only update by paying.
So you kind of buy the monopoly to trigger the update?
For 30 seconds, yes.
Any other questions?
Yeah, are you the only Oracle that's providing price data?
No, like price data in itself?
Yeah, I mean, you introduced the 30-second delay, but what if your competitor doesn't?
You can use the competitor doesn't pay you.
But wouldn't you then get the data on time, or?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, you would only be delayed if there's no intrinsic value in updating faster. Like if there is a liquidation, you will rarely see a 30-second delay because people are just going to take the shortcut and update immediately. So the effective difference delay that you might have is like, we're talking 2 or 3 seconds here for the guy to get the data from the L2 and post it on whatever chain you're on. But like this is essentially worst case scenario, and this is what these oracles do. They maintain a price, so if there's no bids or nothing, the price is still maintained. But in case there is an opportunity, which there is a bunch, people can always pay to get instant real-time data, and that is why this also essentially says that real-time data is sold here. You're not bound to any delay. You can have the newest data on any chain that you want, however fast you want to push it there.
And then just one more last question in the corner.
Can I ask 2 questions?
Yes.
Thank you. So the first one is, couldn't you just leave a layer for delaying the data from oracles and auctioning them?
Yes.
And not providing for
Yes. Yuma does that. They have a UMA, if you heard of them. They have a solution called Oval. The problem is you're hoping that the Oracle plays along. Yuma announced that they are essentially delaying Chainlink updates and then just selling the right to unlock the Chainlink update to the highest bidder. And there are 2 issues with that. The first is you can only sell after Chainlink has updated, which means you're always waiting for Chainlink. That is not the case here. You can buy any price you want always, as long as it's hit. And the second thing is, and the more important is, you're hoping that the Oracle plays along. And Yuma announced that they did this, and Chainlink came out like 2 days later, shitting on the whole thing and telling anyone that integrates this that they're not liable for anything going down. And almost nobody uses Oval now. So you're kind of trusting that the underlying Oracle is going to finance your operation, basically, and then you take the only profitable, like the only venue for oracles to make profit, you're going to build on top. And I'm just going to go out on a whim and say they're going to blacklist you.
Okay, aren't there any competitors that
Yeah, I mean, the PIF guys have also built something, but maybe you can hit me up after and I don't build a OEV comparison live on stage.
Sorry. The second question would be if we wanted the person being liquidated to capture the value instead of us, then on your example, in 100K that is given,
You could give that back to the user.
and then if we want them to pay only the actual cost, which is like $80, in your model, it would be
The-
$160,080.
Yeah. Essentially, what would happen is like the searcher would still take home $80 or whatever because that's how high the competition was. You get back this insane amount, and what you as a project then do is up to you. You could give that back to the user. I had several interesting conversations with this. Technically, a good way, like I prefer giving it to the user because it drops liquidation costs from like 5 to 25% to practically nothing. But one argument that I had with the Euler guys is people that let themselves get liquidated kind of endanger the lending protocol, and that is why they need to be punished. That's what he said. So whatever you like, essentially, we just offer you a venue to get that money back. What you do after that is up to you. Users probably will prefer a lending protocol that penalizes them less. Token holders of Aave or Compound might prefer if that money is used to buy back their tokens and make price go up. So it's up to the projects to decide what they do effectively at the end.
So it's a 5 times optimization, let's say.
This is the optimization. That's the amount people lost just in these last 8 months.
Awesome. Thank you much. This was an amazing talk, really.